have gotten really bad if we hadn't have gotten into the draft. But we did. Here we are. DK now on our blue side and Nongshim with first pick. They chose that out of their right for first selection. ROFS.
Yeah. Otherwise, as Valdez often called, Rofs. Yes.
Rofs actually I'm kind of into. All right. So the Roffers this time around were Nongshim.
And you could tell they were the Roffers because they have first pick on red side.
They did, and it also says first pick on the red side over there. So there it is.
The same bands thus far here. Maybe Nazir follows, but this time they'll have the Rise. So
true.
I'm a little bit puzzled by the Orianna because now you also feel like you have to ban Azir unless Showmaker's like, my Silas counters Azir. That was a counter pick back in the day. It's still relevant, but
certainly could be some interesting picks in the mid lane if we do see like the Ori Azir banned away, which we do.
I mean,
the Renekton is taken off the board, so Yunara is up and available now.
Maybe Showmaker's feeling like he's been pulling out LeBlanc again.
Wait, first Jace? No, thank goodness. Okay. Like, giving that to Sponge would be absolutely the wrong decision to make. I think he already played it in the Kesper Cup as well. Zambessa is going to be locked away first. Flex pick. Kingen, we know, really loves the champ, but Sponge definitely no stranger to it either.
Yeah, I am kind of wondering where the direction is going here because now Lulu stocks are way up with the Zambessa pick.
Do you just Yunara Lulu? You could just straight up do it.
I think you might. Like, you could probably just go Lulu, and you could even go for like Xin Zhao if that's the jungle that you want, and then get the Yunara on 3 because they probably don't want to play it into it.
Or, oh my goodness,
you ban the Orianna, Azir, Jace, and then just go for Lucid's Kiana pick, which has been banned against him this tournament.
And Varus Kiana is pretty dangerous in the mid game. So I'm kind of interested to see how this one is going to go. There's the Yunara, and it could just be, okay, never mind. It's going to be the Aurora alongside it. So flexibility for the Ambessa remains, which is cool to see. But Taeyun not going to have the opportunity to play this alongside a Lulu, and it could be that Dplus can take a priority support and then start banning away the other options.
Bard's gone. Nico's gone. This is not necessarily a Talia, or sorry, not Talia, a Renata angle. I don't think really into the composition here. They're just going to go for the Nautilus here for career. And because the Kiana's already locked in, we know this is not a flex. Doesn't feel terrible, but again, pretty high prio in this situation. A lot of teams would opt for a double ranged bottom lane to just get value out of Comet and push the Yunara out. Could even be Lethal Tempo Varus in this draft.
Theoretically, we haven't seen it so far yet and hasn't been as strong on this patch, but could also be an option here as the Braum is taken away. Obviously, playing Nautilus into Braum feels terrible. With the Aurora already there, we're not going to have to worry about the very sad Nautilus into a Nivea situation as the Ahri is taken away.
Now those mid bans are starting to come through. We'll see the Ahri
LeBlanc,
first. LeBlanc, I think, will probably be the next. I suppose Silas could still work here. They ban the Alistair, though, so perhaps a little bit less likely now.
Really interesting that they've left the Lulu up and available. I believe that's because there is not a lot of engage already put together here by Nongshim. Likely that Kingen just slams a Scion so that they can still play something like a Lulu.
I think that works, though, you know? Like, they end up having so much engage with the Ambessa Lulu, and the lane is so free that I just think it's warranted. LeBlanc was not a surprise to anyone. I don't think you see this ban against 90% of the mid laners in the LCK, but against Showmaker you do. And then he just instantly puts the Zoe on the table and says, "You don't know me."
That is so much single target pick though. If this is going to be locked in, it's kind of ridiculous.
Be pretty scary to play Lulu into all this.
Certainly would be.
Not going to last very long against all this damage.
All right, Showmaker was having a little bit of a giggle, but just slams the Zoe. There it is.
CV Max was like the lock-in button's right there.
Yeah, by the way.
Don't have to give us any suspense anymore.
Well, that would have been to smash if that was the case. Sure. But still, there's the Nocturne. So that is going to confirm Ambessa in the top side of the map.
Okay.
And Leona is going to be there. So with the Nocturne lock-in, that means that there is no engage coming from the top side. And that means that Leona does actually have to happen. As let's see what the champion into the Ambessa is going to be here for Xiu. As he's cycling through some weird stuff, or at least Korea is. Let's see what they're actually going to lock in.
It is, I think something like Kennen does make sense, but they Like
Aurelia would be funny.
If you go for Aurelia, you're hampering your draft, I think, in so many other ways. I think that the Gwen is going to be very strong in team fights, and what they need is consistent damage, unless this Varus is going on hit, but I don't think that's going to be the case anymore with how they've set this up. I look at these two drafts and I'm like, okay, this game is going to be a one-sided game. I don't think there's any way this game is close. It's either the composition of Dplus Kia gets ahead early, snowballs things, running the map with Showmaker fed on the Zoe, the side lane pressure of the Gwen, the Kiana explosive mid-game fights, or Nongshim RedForce have engaged for days and an insane front line and a Nocturne ultimate and a scaling Yunara. So, like, you either win the game early as Dplus or you do not win it at all. I don't see any comeback angle in this one.
Yeah, they basically need to blow Nongshim up immediately with the opening salvo or die is kind of how it's going to go because they're very cooldown reliant with a composition like this. We have seen the Varuses, even in the later stages of the game, actually find some big angles, but they're few and far between. Oftentimes, it's mid-game or bust with that champion. And let's see what Smash can do. I mean, Smash honestly has been phenomenal so far in our first week and in game number 1 here of our second. So let's see how it is going to go. As a very eclectic draft here for DK. But of course, it is a 6-0 so far if they do manage to win here. But if they lose, there is still another backup game afterwards. Let's see how it goes. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for game number 2 between DK and Nongshim. Smash with the Hail of Blades, which means that he's likely going towards the lethality version of the Varus, but we'll be able to do some battle in the early game quite comfortably.
You don't necessarily take Comet in every matchup that you're playing in to get value out of the early game for the Varus, because the Hail of Blades is incredibly effective when you're both playing a melee support and your opponent is also playing a melee support, so you can get those extra autos in.
Yep, both of our junglers as well, starting on the bottom side of the map, so likely going to be meeting towards the top side. We did have a bit of a split map in game number 1, where we had invades to start things off, but that's not how things are going to be going this time, as Hook to start us in this bottom lane, as Paddle Start comes out there from Showmaker, but not exactly the longest of range, as Electrocute going to be traded. The area is what Showmaker has elected for this time.
Trying to weave those.
All right, there's a lot of battling happening here in this bottom lane. We're just trying to watch the mid lane fight, you know?
Yeah, Showmaker did not have the greatest time into Scout last time around. They did have that really cool early bout where he was able to run more first, but otherwise fell significantly behind the Taliyah. And I think this time wants to maybe snowball the game and hold on to that lead and take over the game with this Zoe pick that we have seen relatively niche still, but making a bit of a comeback right now.
Yep. Showmaker does manage to throw out a Paddle Star as Scout teleports back to lane. Very early teleport.
He's like, I have all the same health as you, and I have a teleport, so...
Yeah, and Trouble Bubble is actually going to connect here onto Scout. And Showmaker also takes the cannon. Beautifully played. Gorgeous. Couldn't have asked for more.
Showmaker is like, why'd I take teleport?
Well, because he can pick up other summoner spells from the floor. Maybe that's what it was. Something like that. As Showmaker does get comboed this time around, and that one's not looking quite as good. Shu now moving towards Kingen, but the Snip Snip is not going to connect. So probably just going to have to wait for this wave to come in. And right now, things very even when it comes to the top lane.
A very close exchange. Kingen just on the edge of that snip. If it does connect, takes a lot more damage. Looks a lot more favorable for Shu in that world.
Well, Lucid is going to discover Sponge. The Dustbringer does come in. A little bit of a battle here potentially. The 2v2 could be coming through. There's a hook onto Taeyeon though. Does have to use the cleanse to start this fight off. Smash wanting to try and find the kill onto Taeyeon. Career turns it. Looks to slow down Lehens. With the Eclipse running, Career is in a lot of trouble and does get the Shield of Daybreak. Career so close to dead, but is going to survive. And DK on their last legs here in this bottom lane, but will keep themselves alive for now.
Critically Smash did not have to flash, so that's a summoner spell advantage for the AD carry. Same is true of Lehens, but AD carry having that often feels a lot better. As Nocturne's coming down here, but Sponge is not alone. How quickly can he take Smash out is the question.
Yeah, that's the big deal. Zenith Blade is going to connect, and that means that there is a kill going over to Lehen. Sponge gets out of turret range, though, as Lucid looking to try and chase him down. He isn't going to be able to quite find the angle there. Lucid takes himself a cannon, and that is just first blood going over to Nongshim, and not much of a response here by DK.
Yeah, they are able to get away with it. Sponge the one who was under threat there at the end. And the kill goes over to Lehen's. And that is the first kill, the first blood here in this game. Going over to Nongshim, as you say. And we do have a rotation back over for Smash. You know, Taeyun is backing right now, so things will kind of even up a little bit here in the CS department. But a very successful, early punish.
Taeyun didn't get an assist.
Yeah, not entirely sure how that all went out.
It was just, yeah, Sponge and Lehen's getting that one done. She was in the mist, but not looking all that immune here towards this top side. Level 6 is about to be gained, or at least half a level away for both of our top laners.
Okay, now we have the big group up for Dplus and a Randuin's.
Yeah, there's a hook to start this one off as Eclipse is getting some work done. There's the flash out, but Lehens just pops like a balloon. Down goes the Kiana, though, in response as Sponge will get stunned up. Battlestar is going to get spell shielded nicely. There's the flash in from Showmaker, picks up the kill, and then steals a flash to get out. Now Taeyun's dead as well as the hail of arrows rains down, and DK moved to 3-2.
This is exactly how you have to play this composition as Dplus. You got to fight every opportunity you get. You have to constantly force, and as forced as that looked, I think it was actually a pretty realistic option to look for that follow-up there. The kill going to Smash initially as well, the timing of that snipe was brilliant. He's able to get the first one. Showmaker gets a kill in this game as well. Like, he comes down with the roam, has level 6 now, faster than Scout a little bit here, won't mount it too much, but watch this again. As Showmaker comes down with Lucid in tow, right? Sponge cannot really get down here, and he's also a level 4 Nocturne. So Lehen's, he does what he can, right? Lucid ends up getting traded because of his heroics here, but now Bubble hits. Sponge's spell shield is good, but it's not good enough. Showmaker picks up the flash, so it can flash out, and then Career hits this hook. Career having a great day.
Yeah, is it Career POM? Like, what's happening here?
It might be.
Portal jump here from Showmaker gets him back to where he doesn't want to be. Now Lucid having to bounce his way out, but that's not going to work. And Sponge and Scout making it work once again. 2-0 for Nongshim.
All right, well, we go back to square one in this one. As now Smash without Cleanse here, does have his flash.
Yeah, Lehen's going to start this one up, can tank for a while with that Eclipse running, but Career is moving forward. Lehen's is very dead, and Smash is actually alive. So just a dive that isn't really what they were looking for. Taeyun just walking away on fire right now, but Sponge is moving in. Career looking worse for wear now as the Nocturne looking to make his way down, and Lucid wanting to get this one done. Is going to show up. Smash at 100 health, though, needs to be very careful as there's a piercing arrow connecting onto Taeyun. Career likely to die as there's a paranoia. He goes in. Sponge looking to try and make his way out. Dustbringer might be able to speed him up, but Showmaker is rotating down. There is that cue to come on forward, and so Sponge is going to make it to the darkness and into safety.
And if you're looking at this game state here, you're probably like, well, you know, it's one of those games where you thought, okay, Dplus have to dominate early, and the gold is even. Where the gold is on this Fed Smash guy, who's pretty good in the bottom lane.
He is pretty good.
So you watch this play happen here. Showmaker, fortunately, not really a way to get out of this one. You got to go back to where you go with that teleport ultimate, and then Lucid gets picked off here by Sponge in the end. Sponge is probably just like, guys, especially Lehen's, when I say guys, like, can you just let me get level 6? Like, he has had to do so much patching of holes in this game. He's like, I'm playing Nocturne. I want to have level 6. He does eventually get level 6 throughout this play, as Taeyun is able to nicely, definitely sidestep that arrow from Smash, so this becomes somewhat playable, right? And Sponge is like, all right, I'm just trying to keep my bottom lane relevant in this game. Ends up getting hooked here, offers a ton of damage back, and then gets Paranoia from the wave, ults on to the enemy AD carry, so at least gets something back, but most of the gold here for Nongshim is on that Nocturne, so I still feel like Dplus are getting done the benchmarks they're looking for in this early game.
Yep, it's what they're looking for. These grubs now are going to be the target here for Lucid. Sponge might be able to rotate down, doesn't have Paranoia up and available, and Supreme Display of Talent is there for Lucid now that he has hit that level 6. Looks like it is just going to be grab one of the grubs and then move on with your life. or at least could be, but he's discovered that there's no one coming, so he's just going to be able to take all 3 most likely.
Sponge still doesn't have his paranoia, so I think he feels pretty safe if he's tracking that ultimate, and also the fact that there's no one really nearby. End up being able to save his smite for the final one, take all 3, which is fantastic for the Gwen, who we haven't looked at in a while, but is really going to be the biggest benefactor of this. Zoe in the side lane, also decent. There's a lot of damage with that auto on the turrets.
True. Profane Hydra now picked up as well as Scout. Very deftly clears out this wave. Oh, now I missed Deft. Showmaker, though, now has an exhaust, and that's a little bit more fun.
Deft, a former Dplus player. People kind of forgot about that era.
Indeed. Indeed. It's all right. Oh, of course. Scout and Deft, both former EDG players, which is kind of cute.
True.
There you go.
Lehen's a current Vandal Piper.
He is
going to complete that item with the gold lead he picked up with the 2 kills. And it's going to be relevant if there were to be a fight. This is going to be the Dragon going over to Nongshim here. No contest. Lucid is too far away. Just not interested in this. And I think when you consider a single Chemtech Dragon versus the grubs that were taken on the other side of the map for Dplus, definitely feeling good about Dplus.
Korea, what are we doing? What is the mind game? Standing next to the wall as much as he can, as he does get into the Phalite there. Anchor is not quite going to connect. There is the paranoia coming down as Showmaker. Let's see whether he can get out of this. The answer is no. Bubble does connect, but yeah, if the bubble lands and there's no one there to pop it, does it really land at all is the question, I think.
Well, I don't know if Lucid can make a play here on the bottom.
Flash out from King and Ashiu going very aggressive. There's the ulti back, though, as now without that needlework available, Shiu could be in trouble. However, if you land all the snips, you're still going to have a good trade. As now King in versus Shiu is continuing. Minions are running out as now Lehens moves over. Lucid diving on forward. Does try and save his control ward, but isn't going to be able to do so. There's the flash in from Lehens. They get the solar flare onto Lucid, and Korea realizes he's not going to be able to help here. There's the Arc of Judgment. And Taeyun able to take down the Kiana. Flash out, Chains of Corruption there from Smash just to keep his support alive. But Lucid, I mean, is making it look a lot like LCK Kiana today. Yeah, it's a little unfortunate.
The setup there on the bottom side of the map, like they missed their window. They were zoning them away from farm pretty incredibly well. And there was that moment where they went to clear the control ward as Lehens is like, the danger has passed. Because it certainly had. I think at that point, as Lehens is going to Hex Flash, but there's no opportunity here. Smash had cleanse anyways, but that was a bit of a hard force that completely fell on its face down in the bottom lane. Smash still has a massive lead, so that's a good thing here, but Showmaker is looking a lot worse for wear after that bottom side play, is once again getting ganked here by Sponge, and he gets the sleep, but like you said, doesn't matter, especially because Sponge isn't even under turret. And then here going in, really just didn't need to do that. There's just not enough information here. Lehens gets the flash play, stun is real, and Sponge just shows up. It's pretty simple here. Taeyun has his empowered W over the wall.
Yeah.
And like Smash has to use his ultimate here, Career has to flash, just they get even more.
It's not exactly what Dplus were looking for there, but going a little bit fast and loose is Lucid so far today. Still, he's farming quite nicely and is going to remain relevant, especially with the very cheap item build that he is going for. Profane Hydra is now done. And I think DK, they should still be able to make this comp work in this mid-game that's coming up, but it could be better as Chains of Corruption are going to come out. Solar Flare is going to hold on to Career as Lehens uses him to taxi his way out. There is a hook connecting, but Taeyun's going to make his way in, and that might be a bridge too far here as Scout is rotating down and Career is very, very dead. There's an angle onto Scout, but the Supreme Display of Talent is not exactly named well, and Paranoia comes in. Sponge takes the kill onto Lucid, and he's dead for the 4th time.
Yeah, and this gold lead for the Varus is diminishing rapidly as I think this game may be on its last legs here for Dplus. I know we're only 12.5 minutes in, but they had the tempo, they had the advantage. A lot of the gold, again, was on that Nocturne and on the Leona, but it doesn't matter anymore that the control they have over the bottom side of the map and how many times they've been able to consistently catch the aggression here from Dplus. I mean, this is a Leona. And Lehens is just like, thank you for the taxi. And now we're in no man's land. We're still going in. But I get it, because this comp needs to get further ahead. But you didn't have Lucid here.
I mean, Scout was on vision. Like, there is no way that was ever the right call.
I just don't see any call here that's one of good judgment or sound judgment here for Dplus. They're just like, we need to get ahead. Our Varus is ahead. We need to use it. And unfortunately, that was a second backfire play there on the bottom side of the map. But now this Gwen feels like the only win con here.
And loses out on that trade pretty considerably up against King. And still you can see, she was actually ahead by a massive amount of farm. So that is good news. Maybe DK can leverage that. And there are still avenues. It's only 2,000 gold, the advantage. But if Nongshim starts stringing together another couple of dragons or something like that, then the lack of map control will really start pinching DK.
I mean, when you're down on items as the mid laner, you know, and when you're Zoe, like if you're down against the enemy mid laner, and you don't have vision control, so you can't set traps. Even the idea, like when you look at these two comps and you even cover the gold lead, you're like, oh, okay, Zoe could pick at any point in the game. But if you can't see where the enemy champions are, where you need to bubble them, or if you can't use bubble to zone, you can't really do that. Showmaker's agency has dropped massively in this game already. He hasn't lost his turret or anything like that, you know, the classic Wolf turret. He's looking for that one first still, but it is going to be an uphill battle if they cannot make something happen soon. A dragon is spawning on the opposite side of the map where they're trying to make a play here onto King, and who does have his ultimate. Does not, however, have flash, and also Career is lurking by, so this needs to work here for Dplus.
Yeah, definitely does. They're going to start it. Kingen gets underneath his turret here. His needlework has already been used. See whether Xiu does find the angle. That's a great use of the public execution, but he's still going to be dead because DK just sent everyone.
I mean, Dplus have figured it out, okay? They're like, Smash is the win con, he's the one who's ahead. They played through on the offside, they made some mistakes there, but they know where their bread is buttered. In this game, they're like, okay, it wasn't working well, Smash gonna have to cleanse here.
Yeah, immediate cleanse does come on down as he throws out the ulti. Scout moves in though, and boom goes the Varus. Showmaker now looking for a bit of an angle. His Career is in position. That is a very dead Aurora. And she will go down. Xiu now also able to take the top outer turret, and Rift Herald will be secured by DK.
This is such a bizarre game state because, you know, I was making the joke about how they're like, okay, well now it's the top lane Gwen that's the win con, let's play through that, but it actually worked. And that's what we're going to see here in this replay as they commit Career. They know the dragon is lost, right? They know that Varus is backing. We're not interested in that at all. We know there's going to be a group up on the top bottom side of the map, so let's kill Kingen. They're able to successfully set this one up. Showmaker comes over, has to go to defend here in the mid lane, and Smash buys a ton of time here with the cleanse. Lehens goes in deep, so eventually the Showmaker teleport does come through, and they end up getting the kill on Scout as we're having a fight here.
Yeah, Lehens is in no man's land one more time, does get stunned up by the Kiana, and he will be going down. Xiu is able to snip him up. And that is a dead Leona one more time. Lucid also now with the smite onto the Raptor camp to add insult to injury.
We don't have context, but it's the Lehens barrel art situation.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't...
Hanging in a museum.
The context is Lehens.
Yeah.
And I think that's enough.
But anyway, Dplus get the kill on the Scout, get his teleport, and then get a Rift Herald, and now get Lehens, and it's like, wait a minute, is this playable? It feels kind of playable.
I mean, it's looking more playable than it was a little while ago, and that is the direction they wanted to go in. As Rift Herald, like you say, does come down, looking for a charge here, and should be able to at least take a chunk out of this turret. There it is.
Because after the kill topside, Xiu also got the full turret.
True.
With his grubs, as... Yeah, we didn't need the context.
He was in the river, ladies and gentlemen, and that was illegal.
Leona gets used in mid. She kind of dies there in those situations.
All right, Taeun did have to press his cleanse button and eat some honey fruit, and he should be okay. You can see a bit of a reset coming on through here for DK. Swifties done for Smash, so if he's not hit by the middle of the solar flare, he's going to be feeling kind of okay about it. Runs pretty quickly on this champion for now. 2 items are completed for both of our AD carries, but a little bit cheaper on Smash's side. And so having these 2 done for Taeun is going to feel absolutely fantastic. Third, of course, is going to feel even better, especially with an Infinity Edge spike. But
well, the Fiend Hunter bolts too is just such a huge spike.
Yeah, very true.
Ultimate in team fights, and I think we've already kind of reached the point where Dplus can't 5v5 without a crazy wombo as... Alright, wombo.
Yeah, Xiu is not quite allowed to be here. Does use the flash, but there's the public execution, and down will go the Gwen. Does have a few snips in him, but it's not going to quite work out. So that is a Gwen on the floor, and DK looking to see whether they have a cross map, and it looks like they may not.
And that was their one big fed member to shut down in sides. And like you said, there's no cross. That turret on the top side is already gone. Showmaker can't push that one down. A lot of minions will be lost. In fact, it looks like maybe even Lucid was like, should I pick those up? Gotta get Krugs on the way. Just a lot of lost money here. And in 5v5s, Taeyun is going to press R and clean up the enemy champion. Scout's going to zone for him. Sponge is going to zone for him. They also have Insane engaged, so Smash is not safe. Well, he doesn't have his summoners. His cleanse is coming back up. And he was massively ahead early on in this game. He's now 1,200 gold behind. And this is kind of the game state I was alluding to when I said it's going to be one-sided if Dplus don't get ahead. It happened in a very silly way, and there was some bumpy rocks on the bottom side of the map. But I would tell you guys my forecast right now is that this is probably going to 3 unless Dplus can make some miraculous, like, miracle team fight happen, some crazy pick, some crazy Zoe angle from Showmaker on either of these upcoming objectives. Because it's straight up 5v5s, I don't see it. And now with the Nocturne on 4 kills with Hexplate, Stridebreaker, the Gwen is a side lane threat, but kind of not really, actually, as we've already seen.
Yeah, not as scary now. When Nash's Tooth is done, like, if you leave her in a side lane, then she will just kind of break your stuff. But it's likely that Kingen will be able to respond. He's getting closer and closer to 2 items. I think it hasn't been back to base for quite some time. As Taeyun does throw out the Slurkle here, but DK not looking too worried about it. He almost has that cleanse up and available once again, but most importantly, does have Flash. And Scout down here towards his bottom side is going to meet Shu. We're going to try and catch that wave. 20 seconds on this Dragon. Looks to be the next port of call as far as the fight is concerned. And DK probably don't want to give this one away for free, but there goes the Paranoia. Sponge gets on in there to flash out from Lucid, but I don't know whether he's going to survive. He does get the ulti down, but Smash is not going to live through this one. And all of them just take a nap. Lucid, Showmaker, and Smash dead in the blink of an eye.
And that's Baron here for Nongshim. And Taeyun didn't even really have to do anything. He's like, I'm ready to clean up the kills. They were already on the floor from the combo there as we saw the final ultimate from Career hits Taeyun, and Taeyun's in the air like, okay, but the fight is done. Thanks for the effort, though, as Shiu, it looks like he wants to trade this for a Dragon consolation prize here. Yeah, at best for Dplus, but
I think they will at least be able to get that. But
Scout is like, cool, I'll just take the turret. So I think that's a little bit more valuable than Ocean Soul Point for me at this point. And it's really easy to set up these fights when the enemy just doesn't have any control whatsoever. Look at this TP for Kingen. He's like, I can go all the way to the back line onto Smash. There's so much engagement. The ult from Career is like, I got him. I got Taeyun. Clean it up, guys. Guys, where's my team?
Well, they were dead, Wolf. That's the unfortunate reality, and so is Showmaker.
They got a turret +1 Showmaker, and then a mid turret as well.
Yeah, Nongshim are really starting to run away with this game, and you pointed out already, it's whoever sort of starts to get a lead is likely to be able to balloon it, as Korea not quite able to get through that pesky minion. But even if he had have landed that hook, I think maybe it would have been him that's closer to dead rather than Nongshim. As the siege is continuing, Scout taking plate after plate. The hook is going to connect. Chains of Corruption go down as well. But Kingen isn't too worried. And DK still just clutching at straws for now. I think DK's answer is, let's just keep starting fights and seeing what we can get done. There's the Paranoia. They're looking to try and turn it here. Solar Flare not quite going to connect, but it doesn't really matter as the Kiana is just dead. Some need to work out onto Scout here as the snipes are starting to come on through. Taeyun trying to fight back here, gets the knock-up, does Korea. And now Shiu looking for that angle. The Arc of Ruin is going to slow him up. And it's just so difficult to make something happen. Public Execution snatches him out of the air! My God, that was cool from Kingen. Nice. And Showmaker just takes his 5th death of the game.
Yeah, Showmaker really, I think, had a lot to prove. He had a lot he wanted to show in this game, but sadly is not working out the way he wanted to. And scrappy fights are the name of the game for Dplus with this composition, right? They want to constantly try to find picks, find these angles. That side lane situation, Showmaker get a bit greedy defensively here. This is a choke point where Smash is like, okay, just give me a lineup here on Scout. I can't quite see him. That's so frustrating for him. Everyone's so low. He just continues to layer this damage. This is a great ult from Career. Ends up getting the double knock up there. And Shiu just cannot close the gap. And then Showmaker decides, okay, I've got enough burst. I got the sleep. And he pops.
Well, Paranoia comes down. The inner turret is already dead. Flash out from Shiu. The rest of the team are going to show up, though, as DK look to try and fight this one back. Kingen rotating down. Solar Flare is fantastic. And the Gwen is not immune. Slurkle comes in, but doesn't get too much joy here as DK with one missing, trying to continue fighting this one out, but Scout in with a great stasis with his Zhonya's, and Smash just has to cleanse to get himself to safety, leaves the rest of his team in the dust, and Nongshim, I think, are just going to put an end to this game and bring us to a game number 3.
We knew it was going to be one-sided from the draft. We just didn't know which direction, but some arrogance, I feel, in some of those bottom-side plays from Dplus. Some backfires, and a complete snowball rolls down the hill as Sponge runs away with the game on this Nocturne.
Yeah, Sponge playing a fantastic game this time around, but Nongshim ultimately just getting it together. I think top side of the map definitely playing well, but it's the mid-jungle today for Nongshim that are definitely looking the best. Even in game number 1, looking fantastic there despite the result, and here in game number 2, able to actually get the result they were looking for.